Hi YouTube. Today we are going to make this funky what I call the George Jetson smoking table. It's got tapered legs, a very cool curvy body. Anyways, let's get at her. Hi YouTube, my name is Steve Bonin. Welcome to Urban DIY, where we are devoted to working in small spaces. Let's get on with it. Currently, my wife uses this little station for drinking her tea and smoking outside in the winter time. It's actually in the garage. So as you can see, it's right beside my very messy workbench. And as part of reorganizing this area, I want to build her a little station. And that is going to happen with this wood right here. Okay, I've decided on these two boards for my tabletop. So I'm going to glue them up and clamp them. Spread that around and see how that looks. I think I've mentioned before how I like to use these shims for gluing. This plywood is just utility grade, good one side plywood. And I know that my wife will want this painted black, so it doesn't really matter. It's the shape that I'm interested in achieving, and the edge profile. I have a new router that's still in the box, and I don't have any very good bits for it, but I want to buy a nice chamfer bit and chamfer the edge of this quite deeply, and maybe a very small round over, or maybe I'll square it off at the top. I haven't decided yet. Okay, let's see how that goes. Now these pieces are not exactly the same, but they're close. Now I thought I would use the other two pieces to help distribute the clamping force, since I only have 4 clamps that I'm willing to use. Oh, maybe I have a couple more, but I'll have to look for them. But right now we're going to use 4. Because that's all I got. So I need to trim these down to the same size, and I am going to put a taper on them. So I'm not going to make a taper jig. I'm not going to make a permanent taper jig. I will make some sort of jig for this project. Okay, I just want to clean up these legs. I checked them for nails. I found one. Hopefully there are no more. So I'm just coming up to the fence and I am going to take off half of a 16th, which should be a 32nd. And we'll see how that goes. One would need to plug in the saw for it to work. Let's bring that down a bit. And our fence is locked. And back to the drawing board again. I don't think that was quite enough, so we're going to go to a full 16th. The dust collection does not seem to be working. Aha. When one is trying to collect dust, one should not attach the hose to the outlet. Rather, the inlet works better. So my final milled size is 1 1/4 inches. They started out at 1 1/2. The final table height I think is going to be 13 inches. Can't get 2 legs out of these. But what I can do is I can cut all the holes out on the miter saw. I am just gonna measure them out where I think the best 13 inches is. So I've marked out what I thought was the best 13 inches in each board, cutting off the holes. So I'm just going to chop them off here, and then I'll set up a stop block, and I'll get the full 13 inches. I'm just going to do that off camera. Okay, here's my 4 legs, which I think I showed you at the miter saw. I have reclaimed this piece of, it looks like Baltic birch, from the same old 35-year-ago project that I got these from. This is going to be my jig for tapering these legs. It even came with a couple little blocks and screws and a handle if I want it. So I'm going to get to sanding this so that it runs smoothly in the saw, and we'll set up a jig to hold these at an angle and go from there. That's what bellies are for. Okay, I'm probably not going to cut this down. I may trim it a little bit. Let's see what it looks like. Let's double check that. Yes, that's quite square. I meant to mention earlier, I now have a plethora of stop blocks for the rest of time. So we're going to go through the saw in this direction. And this is our cut edge. And we want square at the top. So I'm going to mark that. And we want to taper. Since that these ended up being 1 1/4 inches, I think if we taper 1/4 inch to make it 1 inch and 1/4 inch the other way to make it 1 inch, I think that will be cool. Okay, so let me just do some measurements and I'll get back to you. I've already drawn my lines. I'm just going to show you what I did. I'll do it in marker so you can see it on camera. So I decided that I wanted a 3-inch square piece at the top. So that gives us 10 inches. So I'll draw my mark at 10 inches. And I should have a better square. But there we go. And just going to transfer that line onto this face. So the two faces we're going to be tapering are this face and this face. Okay, so I measured 1/4 inch in, and we went from that mark to that mark. And if it looks like I'm a little out, it's because I'm compensating for the thickness of the marker. So I measured again a 1/4 inch. I'm going to make a jig for this for measuring, a measuring block for my, just do that way. There. So we're going through this way. We want it to go through the saw like that. So cutting on that side. It's in frame, so our blade is here. And we're moving in this direction. So we want it to taper like that. So, I think the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set a block like this. And we will set a block, and maybe I'll get a longer block to go here. Okay, I'm going to turn this all around. so that I have some clamping ability. So I'm going to measure out 1/4 of an inch. I don't have space to put a block in there. So, and right here, I want it to be 0. And use this. Let's recheck it. And 1/4 inch. Okay. And since I have all these blocks, get one with that one looks good. Okay, let's take those clamps off. And something tells me that we have this clamp in the wrong place. Our pressure is coming this way. And I don't know if I have room. So I found a smaller block and I drilled it out and I screwed it in and promptly split it in two. So nix that idea. So I put a screw in instead of a smaller block, and hopefully that is going to suffice, because this is in here pretty tight, as you can see. So let's go over to the table saw and go for broke. So our saw should still be set up, because this is where we cut it, where we cut this. So I'm just gonna fit this in. Okay, let's do our first cut and then we'll try to figure out which way we're going to turn that. Well, that was a beautiful thing, just to watch it cut exactly along that line without deviation. I don't know if you can see the little bit of marker that's left. It's exactly the same width all the way up that leg. So there is our first taper. So Turn her over and see how we do on the next one. This is not clamped down. Okay. You probably can't see me do this, but I'm taking off the vacuum hose. And little shims like that end up in there. It's a perfect shim. Nice. So let's just get the rest of them done. With a very simple jig made out of scraps. Everything here is a scrap, including the board. I got all these nice little legs. I don't know which sides are trimmed, but we'll figure it out. To go underneath here, you can't see that, it's probably off camera. My board, my tops are still glued up and still setting. I'm going to set them overnight, and that's it for today. I'll see you again later this week. Thanks for watching. Check out these other videos.